today we have a very full program again with our ArtTech Prize. You will meet the 8 participants and you will decide who will win this very prestigious prize. We will also hear from Jean-Michel Jarre on his 50-year odyssey of audio experimentation. He will be with us from Paris, but you will be able to ask him questions. We will also focus on the hot topic of artificial intelligence and its repercussion on creativity and its influence on the art market, as well as how luxury companies are reinventing themselves in this tech world. One of the many highlights of the ArtTech Forum is its prize. It was created in 2017, and its aim is to encourage entrepreneurship in the cultural and creative industries. And today, I'm going to tell you about a success story that ArtTech is extremely proud of. In 2018, one of the finalists of the ArtTech Prize was Brandon Ciecko, and he founded Cuseum, a technology startup that helps museums and cultural institutions attract visitors using the power of digital. Today, Cuseum is a huge success. It works with more than 500 cultural institutions around the world. Please welcome Brendan, who came all the way from Boston to tell us about this success story that we are very proud of here at ArtTech.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Well, thank you for showing up early. I just heard that everybody who showed up early and didn't sleep in gets an Audemars Piguet. So you're in great luck. No, just kidding. But I did see they're a sponsor, so thank you for the support. My name is Brendan Ciecko. I am so delighted to be here with you today to share the story of my company, Cuseum, and the support and energy that we receive from communities such as the ArtTech Foundation. Around 4 years ago was when we made it to the finals, and it really opened our eyes to the small but mighty community that exists to help support and encourage and foster innovation and progress amongst companies that share similar visions in changing the way that technology drives visual arts, performing arts, media, music, gaming, and all a wide array of segments beneath the creative economy. And it's been amazing to see the companies and to meet so many inspiring entrepreneurs and artists and practitioners over the last couple of days. So thank you so much for having me. So a little bit about myself, who is Brendan Ciecko? I want to kind of take you back many, many years to when I was like 9 or 10 years old. So when I was 9 or 10 years old, I got my hands on a computer, which was a little surprising in that I'm the son of a plumber and a school bus driver. My dad bartered with a Mac repairman, family received a computer, and I was obsessed. I was absolutely fascinated with this new tool and how I could combine my interests in design and motion and interactivity to create some things that are new. And so I used that as a means to kind of get outside of the small world that I lived in, as middle child of 5 kids in rural Western Massachusetts, to essentially break into the music and entertainment industry. So when I was 13, I started my first company, and before I could legally drink alcohol in the United States of America, our drinking age is 21, I believe it's 18 and 16 all around the world, I was working with people like Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones on their websites, their marketing materials, internet systems for record labels. Every major label was a customer, and we had a great opportunity to work in this fast-paced industry. So I asked myself, what's a faster, sexier, and more lucrative industry than the music industry? And naturally, the answer was arts and culture, and museums especially. All kidding aside, this opportunity came to me. I must have been 22 22 or 23 at the time, where, business is humming along with the agency that I founded, but we get an inquiry from a museum, a notable museum in New York City, and we would typically say no to anyone outside of our niche market or our specialized market, but it happened to be one of my favorite museums. So I leaped at the opportunity to work with them, and you know what I found out? Everything that they were using was clunky, dusty, broken, inefficient, and painful to work with. And so I wanted to dedicate myself and my being to helping organizations within the arts realm, museums and cultural institutions, fix those problems and succeed in engaging their visitors, members, and donors, and ultimately find success in this increasingly digital world that we live in. So I founded Cuseum in 2014, raised a seed round, brought the product to market, and to date we have an ever-growing suite of tools around visitor engagement, member engagement, donor engagement. Ultimately, this vision of building a unified communication layer for arts and cultural organizations that have historically struggled in these areas, and it's crucial, it's pillar to their success to tackle these problems. We are, so specialized in the work that we do and dedicated to the arts and cultural sector that we're constantly engaging in dialogues, projects, collaborations, and research. And I'm really proud to say that when we work on something, it catches the attention not only of the international press and media, but also institutions and convening bodies that are supporting the work of museums and cultural institutions and the progress that we'd all like to see in that area. So 4 years ago, 2018, Cuseum joined the ranks of finalists for the ArtTech Forum. My wife and I were expecting our first baby, so I actually wasn't here presenting. It was my colleague, Dan Sullivan, who's still with the company and an awesome team member. And so I was asked to come back and talk about what has happened since that time. 4 years is a long time. So does anybody have any guess what happened in the last 4 years? COVID-19 happened, obviously, and that kind of took the world for a twirl, for lack of better words. This is a sculpture by one of my favorite artists, Tom Friedman, by the way. Anywho, so along with COVID came social turmoil, political turmoil, economic turmoil. It is hard to build a business. It is hard to build a business when all of those things are taking place and museums are closing their doors and the economy is full of uncertainty. And then time goes by, and then what else happens? Well, technological disruption, the amount of metaverse dialogue and AI dialogue that we've seen in the last couple of years has radically transformed people's feelings, their sentiments towards technology, and almost like a fear of missing out. So what do you do with all of this? What do you do with all of these uncertainties, all these questions? Well, we were dedicated to helping the sector succeed. So the first webinar that I ever hosted to help the arts and cultural sector during these dark early days of the pandemic had 4,400 people from all around the globe tuning in to hear me and 2 museum directors talk about how do you engage when your doors are physically closed. And so all of those things combined, really showcase the leapfrogging of technology within the museum sector. So there's 2 themes that we're gonna kind of jump down today. Because we're not a one-dimensional company. We have the products that we do. We're a B2B vertical SaaS company with a suite of tools that we provide to museums and cultural institutions of every shape and size. But we are absolutely dedicated to shaking things up, asking difficult questions, and innovating. We have a true commitment to this. And I will tell you a couple stories about that, applicable to the work of many of us. So one thing that I've always been asked since the founding of the company was, what is the difference between viewing art through a digital mediated, device, if you will, a smartphone, or having that guide you, versus the sacred bear of watching or observing a work of art as it is in its authentic original state. And so I had been thinking about this for about 7 or 8 years, and then had met one of the world's leading computational neuroscientists, who's also an expert in vision, from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and it kind of dawned on me, we could run a study kind of nights and weekends to help answer some of these questions. So we tried to crack the nut of this question of, well, how does the brain perceive art? And so what we did was we ran a study comparing neurological activity, brain activity of people viewing artworks, the authentic original AR, VR, and the two-dimensional reproduction. And in a lot of ways, this challenged something that's like cited by every, every master's thesis, Walter Benjamin, about the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, that there's an aura to the original, and once you reproduce it, it loses its aura. And so a lot of these questions were surfacing in the area of augmented reality and virtual reality. And so we literally set out to work with neuroscientists to hook up EEG, brain monitoring devices, to help provide some deeper look and insight into these different dynamics. And I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag and go into the results, but invite you to read the study. And this really, for me, opens up just the grand importance of the intersections of art and technology and science. It's something that I believe in, and it's something we're all kind of practicing in our work. And similarly, it's one of the other things that we rolled out, which was, fairly innovative, received a US patent, was combining on-device machine vision with augmented reality to create a completely sensorless form of wayfinding that was applicable to the labyrinth that is a museum. So as you can see here, based on visual cues and what have you, that I can't get lost. I can go step by step throughout the museum in a converged view to make my way from point A to point B, and then I get a star because it's kind of like Super Mario to go and view the great work of art that I set out to see. So all sorts of different things. And then, during the pandemic, when museums were temporarily closed, a lot of dialogue around remote access came to the forefront. And so something that we rolled out, which in some ways was a byproduct of the neuroscience study, was a tool for our customers and organizations at large to enable their visitors, or rather their constituents, their community, their audience, to bring those great artworks into their own homes, to experience them in a way that's a little bit different, leveraging augmented reality. This was featured by Apple. It won a Webby, had been recognized as a great tool. And as mentioned, we're constantly investing in research and development, which play a role not only in our own company and the business, but also in driving forward the space. And our projects have been cited in hundreds of academic papers, books, and press, as you can see here. So now flipping the gear towards the success of the business. There's so many different KPIs that we measure companies by. Like in your first couple of years, you're winning these prizes and you're getting the TechCrunch article. And then, you have to sustain traction and actually get a thing that's really important called revenue and customers. And you need to serve them and retain them. And so we've been able to grow from, I think, 2018, maybe had like less than 50 customers. Now we have over 500 customers all around the world. Really proud of our work in that. And we've been able to grow our revenues, multi-million, grow our profitability. We're a profitable business, a sustainable business, and also grow our products, not only in terms of our feature set offering, keeping our ear to the ground to customers' needs and continuing to build out new products and features. And so a little bit about, our journey, to market leadership, really proud to say that we're a company that's able to serve some of the largest, most reputable museums and cultural institutions on the face of this planet, but also some of the smallest. And up here you can see that we work with the British Museum, the V&A, the National Gallery of Art, the Art Institute of Chicago, and so many other organizations of different shapes and sizes. Fun fact off the record though, one of our first companies might have been a Swiss-based bank that might have a lot of art. So just throwing that out there because I'm in Switzerland, but I'm not naming any names. Love you guys, Switzerland, love you. Anywho, you know, this all kind of leads me to this bigger question, broader question of what does it mean to be an art tech entrepreneur? You know, if you're in marketing technology, there's tons of groups, there's tons of companies, there's tons of venture capital flowing around. If you're building a newfangled artificial intelligence tool right now, there's tons of businesses, tons of venture capital flowing around. But if you're an art tech entrepreneur, you've signed up for a very different journey, a journey where the passion needs to be so abundantly clear and plentiful to drive you forward and have a true vested interest in the humanities, in culture, and things that in so many ways underpin humankind and want to play a role in helping that practice be more accessible or inclusive or you know, innovative. And so that's what we're all here to do, and we're doing it in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. So I really, you know, commend all of you that have taken the plunge to be a company serving the, you know, art and technology sector, if we want to describe it that way, or cultural tech sector, in some way, shape, or form, because it does take a lot of time, and it does take a lot of energy, blood, sweat, and tears to get to a point where you feel like you've maybe made it, but the reality is the mountain keeps getting taller and taller and taller, and there's always the next milestone. And that's not dissimilar to any form of entrepreneurship, but you know, we have certain things within us that keep us going, whether it be a painting on a wall that inspires us, or you know, reinventing music or the way that it can be produced or experienced that I think is so unbelievably exciting. And I don't think there's ever been a time as exciting as now to start a company at the intersection of art and technology, and really thank groups like the ArtTech Foundation for creating community, creating convening, creating support systems and networks to help companies succeed in a fairly uncharted territory. So with that, I want to say thank you in every official language of Switzerland, and also say that I am here for everybody that is a part of this community. I'm serious when I say shoot me an email if I can be helpful. Send me a message, here's my cell phone. I'm gonna be around, and if I can help any of you, your companies, your practice, if you have a question about any particular milestone or pivot point or life cycle of a business, I am so happy to help entrepreneurs, and I think that is kind of the learn and return, and I'm a product of other entrepreneurs, and I just want to take this moment while I'm here to do anything I can. And also congrats to everybody who's made it to the finals. I really look forward to hearing how what the final verdict was, but exciting nonetheless. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you very much. That's a great presentation. I have a question. Okay, obviously you've talked about lots of different things about your company, but what about the future now? Because you're a very successful entrepreneur in the art tech business. Does this mean that Cuseum is it, or are you like already thinking out of the box to something else, new projects or something?
So we have the goal of getting to thousands of customers, and when you look at it, there's about 60,000 museums globally, and so we're barely scratching the surface. And so the idea of getting to the next milestone of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 is really exciting to me. That said, I mean, I'm always thinking about new things, and because there's so many interesting projects and startups in the art tech realm, I could see myself kind of after Cuseum, what's next? Probably starting another thing, because I think that the type of business that you're in is having a material positive impact on society around you in a way that is very different than building, other forms of technology. So, yeah, many miles to go for sure.
Any questions in the audience for Brendan? Yeah, there's one there. There's a mic coming. It's working. Go ahead.
It works? Yes, it works.
Hi. I was just wondering, what would be your best advice to start, just where to begin? Because sometimes, you just get a bunch of really good ideas, and you have a vision of what you want to do, but you don't know where to start. What's your best advice for that?
Before you answer, can I just ask you your name and how old you are, if I may?
No, absolutely. My name is Alex Schreiber. I'm from Aiglon College, and I'm 17 years old.
Okay.
Awesome, and so happy to hear that you're thinking about entrepreneurship at the ripe age. It's awesome as a fellow teenage entrepreneur back in the day. So one thing, I look at all of the things that I wish I could tell myself back when I was a teenager that would have radically changed my trajectory. And I think some of the big things is surround yourself with mentors. Find a network of people who have been there and done that, because you will make so many mistakes early on that could have been easily avoidable. So I'd say, one, mentors, super, super important. They can be mentors, they can be formal advisors, whatever it might be. And then the other part is actually talk to customers, talk to prospective customers, talk to prospective users. Sometimes we get so excited about our own idea, we think it's the best thing that's ever, been conceived. But the reality is, 90+% of businesses fail, and startups have a high failure rate, as we know. And so oftentimes it just comes down to not being able to find product market fit due to probably not talking to actual customers or potential users as early as possible. And there's a great quote, I think it's, who said it? Maybe Reid Hoffman. It's that if you're not embarrassed by your product, you've waited too long to ship. And so I think that reigns true in entrepreneurship. You just have to ship quickly, get feedback. It's really all about feedback, whether it be from mentors, customers, or users. So that's some advice that I would give myself at 17 or 13.
Thank you very much.
Or 35, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hi, thank you for an engaging talk to open the morning. I'm Uni. I'm doing my PhD in Lausanne in Switzerland at EPFL. And I was particularly curious about when you talked VR and AR applications for the museum and wayfinding, and particularly that collaborative study you did with a professor at MIT. I'm just curious because I know that VR has an inherent limitations for its brightness and contrast ratios, which are very important aspects for visual perception. And when you did this study, was there any finding related to whether VR can overcome those limitations for representing an artwork or museum settings?
Well, one of the interesting findings was, I think in a lot of ways, if you were to provide a number or a measure to what would have the highest level of neurological impact to viewing a work. And by the way, this is strictly neurological. We were not studying dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, other things that relate to the pleasure centers in the brain and feeling good and emotional connection. It was solely EEG. And so one would think that viewing the authentic original is 100 on that scale of 0 to 100. And then maybe VR, if it's of the highest level of resolution and quality, and you can see the brush strokes and the lighting and the textures, maybe that's like a 90 or an 80. AR is maybe like a 60, and then 2D reproduction on a screen is maybe like a 20 in terms of like how much you can recognize, remember, kind of short-term, long-term memory and recollection of those works of art. And the study actually pointed to AR and VR having significantly higher neurological activity. Also, from a qualitative perspective, the subjects were interviewed right after the study, and then a week later, and they were asked a series of questions that helped kind of pull from memory of different objects, colors, patterns within the works, and these were figurative, landscape, and abstract modern art. And people that were viewing with VR had notably higher memory of works, those qualities of works, rather than the authentic original. And I was very surprised by that, and I think that this is just a starting point. I'm not a scientist. I'm a college dropout, as a matter of fact. I shouldn't be hanging out with MIT professors, but I do. I think that there is a big opportunity for people in the ArtTech community to ask some of these questions. And it's so abundantly clear from that awesome video that we saw earlier that there's just so much intermingling between university and government and technology companies in a country like Lausanne, sorry, not Lausanne, you're in Lausanne, but Switzerland and in this particular region to spearhead some of this research and ask some difficult questions and see how it impacts not only the way that we understand art, but also education at large. So I think there's a lot of work to be done, and Mark Zuckerberg's not going to do it, so I think someone in Switzerland, maybe you, have an opportunity to, take it by the reins.
Are there any other questions? Thank you very much, Brendan.
Thank you
for coming so far away, far away to talk to us.
And if any of you are ever in Boston, give me a shout. I'm happy to host and show people around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, our next theme is the future of experience design for brands and institutions. Nathan Ornick, our next speaker, has broad experience in media and technology. He has directed product development and experience design for mixed reality. He has managed studios and teams for more than 2 decades all over the world. He is passionate about emerging technology, storytelling, and design, and how they can be used to create innovative products, content, and experience. Please welcome Nathan Ornick.
All right, cool. Thanks everyone for coming out this morning. So today, is this working? Yeah. So, audiences have a growing expectation of digital, and this is shaped by their experience as consumers. So as technology is evolving, brands and experience centers, of course, need to be using the latest tools and techniques to make sure that they're creating engaging experiences for their visitors. So today I'd like to talk about what we see as the most important trends in technology that are shaping experience design. And these are mixed reality, artificial intelligence, and social platforms, which are all critical components in the solutions that we'll be developing in the future. My name is Nathan Ornick. I've been making content for about 20 years. That's me in spandex, in case anyone was curious. It's my mocap days, probably back in 2004. I'm the program director for mixed reality at iart in Basel, which is where I manage teams in product development, user experience design, and engineering. I'm also the co-founder of Boost Plus, which is a Swiss content production studio. That's some of our content there. And I'm on the board of directors for the International Game Developers Association, where we support the Swiss game development community. So I've been working with iart for about 4 years. As many of you know, iart is a studio for media architectures. It's based in Basel. We enhance physical spaces with digital technology. We focus a lot on art and architecture, and we collaborate with an amazing network of artists and collaborators to create digital and interactive art for projects around the world. The company was founded about 20 years ago by Valentin Spies, and today we have 50 employees, more or less, that allows us to do full stack project development from concept to production to servicing. I like to say that we're a creative engineering company, and we develop tools and technologies that enable creatives to show solutions to clients. So those clients that we work with, cultural institutions, museums, heritage sites, things like that, brand spaces for retail and welcome centers, things like that. We work a lot with architects for interactive spaces and media facades on buildings, and various government departments. So we've delivered 191 projects in the last 20 years. Some of those projects are installations. This is a media installation. It was done in collaboration with artist IVV and the architect Rzhavtseva. This was an installation for the Park Avenue Armory in New York City, which explored the concept of living under constant surveillance. This is a project that we did for Novartis, the pavilion in Basel. This is a media facade which features 10,000 photovoltaic panels around the building and 30,000 LEDs. And these LEDs are pointed both outwards and inwards. So the ones that are pointed inwards reflect off the shell of the building and back up onto the panels, which illuminate them from behind. Novartis commissioned Sabine Hammelsbach, who is the director for the House of Electronic Arts in Basel, to curate the media art that is played on this, basically a giant screen. And another project that we did was the facade for the M+ Museum in Hong Kong. This is a 7,000 square meter multi-layer LED facade. It's kind of insanely huge. It was also developed in collaboration with the architects at Rzhavtseva, and it firmly establishes the property into Hong Kong's contemporary skyline. The Swiss visual artist Pipilotti Rust had a piece called, what was it called? Hand Me Your Trust, which premiered during Art Basel in Hong Kong of this year. So the first topic I wanted to talk today about is mixed reality. I'm sure everyone knows what it is, but mixed reality, XR, spatial computing are all more or less words for the same thing. That's taking digital content and bringing it into our physical space so that we can view it or interact with it. And you basically need three things for XR to work. You need a digital map of the space. You need to know your position within that space. And then you need some sort of a hardware or technology to interface with the digital content. So one of the things that allows you to do that is Apple's Vision Pro. This is a XR headset. Surely everyone has probably seen this by now. This is not the first mixed reality headset. We've had more or less 10 years of hardware that's been available, things like the Microsoft HoloLens or the Oculus Quest. But there's a lot of hype about this one, which will be released in the first quarter of next year. It's fairly expensive, so it'll probably be more not so consumer focused, but there's a lot of interest to see if it's building off of the success of all the previous technologies. But I think it's important to note that mixed reality is not just visual-based XR. It's anything that you can use to interact with a virtual digital space. So that can also be things like sensors or AirTags or position-located headphones. And it can also be your smartphone. So there's a lot of different ways to interact with XR. Oh, these videos aren't playing. But anyway, so these are some examples of non-visual based XR. So they can be things like finding your items. They can be things like user access throughout a building. They can be things like contextual remote controls for other devices and smart homes. And they can be used for various types of indoor positioning solutions. Oh, now they're playing. So one of the projects that we did, which is a non-visual based XR experience, was for the Kunstmuseum in Basel. This was for an exhibition called Pizarro Sounds. So this was an XR experience with no visual component, but instead visitors had a pair of headphones that were position tracked, and so as they moved around the space, audio would be played contextually to them depending on where they were. This is not a beacon-based system. We have basically an indoor GPS system that iArt's developed based on ultra-wideband, so we have tracking accuracy of about 5 centimeters. So we're not reliant on any sort of beacons or moving objects around in the space. We map the entire space, and then you're free to move around it and interact with the content that's built inside of a digital twin. Digital twin is built in Unity, and that allows you to place sounds. So some of the sounds that were used in this experience were didactic, so curators talking about specific pieces of art that they found interesting in the exhibition, and some of it was more artistic soundscapes and things that were inspired by content within the different paintings and works of art. The other advantage of working with a digital twin with a project like this is that the sound designer, Moritz Fair, was able to work on developing the experience even without having access to the building before the installation was installed. And he could also work on it remotely and share the experience with different stakeholders and curators to make sure that everyone was happy with the experience. And it also allowed us to move very quickly when the curators would move the artworks around. If they wanted to change stuff prior to opening, we were able to work very quickly within the digital twin to be dynamic and make changes. A similar exhibition is opening today, actually, in Zurich. This is the Sprachenland Schweiz. This is also an audio-based exhibition, which is exploring how languages connect us or possibly separate us. And here as well, we have a digital twin built of the space and mixed reality headphones, and as you walk around, you can engage with the different content. The content itself in this case was developed by Idee and Klang, which is a sound studio also based in Basel, and they're also hosting a making of session about the sound scenography on the 21st of this month, so if that's something of interest, you guys should go check it out. So moving more into the visual side of XR, this is an interesting demo which is using Google's geospatial API, and this is basically Google's map, digital twin of the entire world. It's a low poly version of basically all geological features, buildings, trees, fountains, etc. So you don't have to map the space yourself anymore. You can just plug your app into something like geospatial API. This is an example just showing you that you can run this kind of stuff on a phone. It has physics, it's tracking the buildings, and it's loading in everything. It's kind of showing a mashup of tech, but it also kind of hints at different kinds of use cases that you can build with city-scale XR. You could put in historical buildings that used to be on a site that are no longer there. You could build games, you can do architectural previs, you can label points of interest, you can do data overlays. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this kind of tech. So a similar application is what we're building, something that we're building at iArt, which is called AIR. So we're also using city-scale XR to do architectural visualization for urban planning, especially in Switzerland when you might have a voting public who can approve or deny urban development plans. It's really important to be able to communicate what a plan is, what it's going to look like, and why it's important. So this can be an important communications tools for architects and city developers. This is a project that we did for the Swiss Federal Office of Topography, or Swiss Topo. This was an XR experience built on Microsoft HoloLens, which is a pass-through AR, it's a visual AR headset. So in this case, it was used in their Welcome Center to help explain to the public about what they actually do in the office. So with this experience, you can explore different things like land management and geological planning, and infrastructure mapping like roads and tunnels and stuff that are all throughout our mountains here in Switzerland. In this case, up to 8 guests can use the experience simultaneously with a shared digital vision between all of them at the same time. And this is the experience that we built also for the Novartis Pavilion. This is on the inside of the building. This is called The Wonders of Medicine. It's a permanent exhibition. In this case, it's using the position-tracked headphones, but it's a very media-heavy exhibit. So in this case, there's lots of games and movies and touchscreens and films that are scattered around the experience. And as you move around, the audio that you hear is tied into these different media installations that you see. But it's also a bi-directional communication. So not only are you just walking in and sort of connecting with a piece of audio that's already there and playing, all of the different media installations know where you are, and if you walk up to screens, screens will play context depending on who you are and what you've been doing. So the entire experience is one integrated system, one digital system. This also does some interesting things like provides very, very high resolution data analytics, and it's also very flexible for being able to optimize your exhibitions. So a couple predictions on the topic of mixed reality. I think real-time computer vision object detection is going to get super, super, super good. It's already pretty good, but it's only going to get better, especially on mobile, because people are using lenses, people are using AR on their phones. So I think one of the big technology tracks is going to be understanding the world around us, and a lot of that will happen through computer vision and object detection. I think for site operators that investments into digital twins, Internet of Things, and integrated control systems will be very useful in the near term, not only for digitization and site management, but also for preparing for integration with AI and digital systems as they're developing. And I think there's going to be a huge growth in user-generated 3D and volumetric content, which will feed into various XR platforms. The iPhone 15 was announced this week, and one of its features is that it has some sort of volumetric recording ability, because they're trying to build up an ecosystem with the Vision Pro, but it's these kinds of techs that are going to start proliferating amongst consumers, which are going to build up into having huge data sets. And I still think that AR glasses are going to stay fairly niche for consumers in the near term, but as technology develops, and like your question earlier about the quality of VR headsets, I mean, all of this stuff is under active engineering development. I mean, we're still maybe 10 years into VR and maybe 6 into AR. So, I mean, we're still in very early days for this kind of stuff. So the next topic I wanted to talk about is artificial intelligence, or AI. So this is an interesting chart, because we all love charts, I'm sure. This is from McKinsey, and this is showing how experts' opinions of when AI will reach human-level parity on various subject domains will happen. So the gray bars show what they were thinking before generative AI came onto the scene a couple years ago, and these blue bars are showing what the current estimates are. So in most cases, the estimates have been revised forwards by about 40 years. Most experts at the moment are thinking that human-level parity for performance of AI on various domains will be done within this decade. Things like social and emotional reasoning, probably by the middle of next decade. And one of the things that used to be assumed the hardest was creativity, but as we've all seen in the last year or two, this has completely been upended with generative AI in terms of image generators, text generators, large language models, and even video. So for example, this is a video produced by Runway ML. This is completely CGI. This company has a 1.5 billion valuation as of their latest funding round in June. And I mean, their product has been on the market less than a year. So this is going to be incredibly good in another 6 months to a year. Who here has used image generators? DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, any of this kind of stuff? Yeah, I would say 60%, that's not too bad. Who's used like ChatGPT? Almost everyone, wow, okay. Cool, so yeah, I mean, you all know how useful of a tool it can be. These are some images of concept production that are being used by scenographers. There's a whole bunch of tools that you can use now that help you rapidly ideate and create and brainstorm. These are some images also used in architecture. You all know how powerful this stuff can be. So actual applications of AI, one of the interesting ones recently is very, very good text-to-speech, natural language speech generation, neural text-to-speech tools basically allow computers to speak. And so one of the applications that's going on now is Microsoft is using their tools in collaboration with Project Gutenberg to create audiobooks for their library of public domain works. They have about 50,000 books. So now they can create audiobooks by pressing a button instead of having to hire teams of voice actors and taking weeks and months to record all of this content. You can basically automate it, which makes it incredibly fast and cost-effective. Another interesting use of AI is in the sphere of like data labeling and sort of content organization. Some of the work that Professor Sarah Kenderdine at EPFL is doing is very, very interesting in terms of digitizing video archives. It's one thing to be able to do OCR and go through old newspapers or old records, things that are written text, but video had traditionally been a lot harder to basically tag and to analyze. But now we have tools that can look at video, do object recognition, do reconstruction, create transcripts of anything that's spoken there, and then basically output structured data so that it's labeled and able to be searched, which is a very, very powerful thing. AI is also being used for accessibility. So tools like GPT-4 are multimodal, which means that you can give it data not only in text, but also in images. So you can start to build tech stacks, where, for example, if you have a vision impairment, now you can have a camera on your face through these different types of glasses. This one was with Google. And you can basically look at the world around you and then have that translated into text. So, for example, it can describe the space that you're in. It can tell you how much money do you have in your hand. You can also interact with these types of systems in natural language. So you could say, for example, does this menu that I'm looking at have shellfish on it or something like that? So there's a lot of really deep interactions that you can start to do, especially with to help people with different types of impairments. A similar technology stack, but used for other applications, would be things like this poetry camera. This is an app you can go and download. You can point it at the world around you, and instead of taking a picture, it outputs a poem describing what it sees. Then we have things like HeyGen. I don't know if anyone has heard of HeyGen, but this is a really interesting technology that ties together a bunch of different AI single domain utility functions into a website where you can upload a video and press one button, and it will output a video of you speaking in multiple languages of your choice. So what it actually does is analyzes your audio, makes a transcript of that, translates that transcript into a different language, uses text-to-speech to then generate a voice saying that new translated text, and then it makes a deep fake of your mouth saying those new words, composites everything together, and spits out an MP4. So this is an example I hope will play.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Jay from JS Films. Now in this video, we're going to be taking a look at HeyGen Labs. Hey, was geht ab? Jay von JS Films. In diesem Video schauen wir uns HeyGen Labs an. Now what this tool is going to allow you to do is translate your videos like this into different languages. Now this is a huge deal. Jetzt ermöglicht Ihnen dieses Tool, Ihre Videos wie dieses in verschiedene Sprachen zu übersetzen. Jetzt ist das ein Riesendeal. It's actually something that I've been looking for from whenever I'm making videos like this. Additionally, whenever I'm making my courses so I can reach a broader audience. Now, before I've just used subtitles using AI, But now,
So,
if
this
works,
is really quite interesting and powerful in terms of what you can do for content creation. I mean, the next steps of this sort of thing are going to be also doing sentiment analysis. So when you're starting to speak languages, for example, that have different pacings, so that you want to be able to match up expressions on the face along with certain statements, in longer periods of text. We'll start doing, richer deep fakes and things like that. So anyway, it's super cool tech. And one other example for AI, this is a example used in the Centre Pompidou in Paris. This is, I think, called Tubo. It's built by a company called Ask Mona. Basically, they've developed a chatbot. It's a text-based chatbot that you can talk to. And this is something that connects not only to their exhibitions and their collections, but also to the full CMS and communications stack of the property. So you can ask it things about upcoming events, you can talk to it about opening and closing times, but of course you can also explore all the content that they have in their shows and exhibitions. It also uses the camera, so you can point it at particular pieces of art in the exhibition, which will automatically be recognized and then bring up contextual information about those. So my predictions for AI stuff, content production costs are going to be dropping massively. In the near term, humans are still going to need to be in the loop, not only for prompting and using these AI tools, but also for editing and curation of content, especially in a professional setting. You definitely want to have eyeballs on stuff. The tools are definitely getting better, but they're not perfect. I think audiences in the very near term are going to expect having some sort of a GPT-4-like personal agent for interacting with the world. Things like Alexa or Siri, but that don't suck. We're basically going to have these semi-intelligent AIs in our pocket that will be sort of like search tools on steroids, and everyone's going to basically not going to know how we lived without them. It'll be like the Google of this upcoming decade. And I think we're going to see a convergence of many different AI tools and data into different interesting tech stacks. So something like HeyGen and other types of utility functions where we're tying lots of things together to get certain kinds of outputs. So yeah, like I said, we're not quite there yet, but all of this stuff is moving really quickly. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is that we really see that will be impacting how we do our experience design in the future is social media. Oh, that's interesting font stuff. Anyway, so yeah, good fix. So by 2024, there's going to be more than 2 billion Gen Alphas. Gen Alphas are generally people who were born between 2010 and 2020. 2/3 of them are owning a smartphone by the age of 10. 92% of them are playing computer games. They're using avatars. They're interacting with the world in a digital way. And according to a recent study by GWI, 43% of kids would rather interact with their friends on the weekend in a digital platform rather than meeting up with them in person, which I find completely shocking. So where are they spending all this time? Well, one of them is Roblox, which you probably have heard of. Roblox is started off as an online gaming platform, but it's essentially an online social and gaming platform. It has a daily user base of around 65 million people. So about the population of the UK is using this platform every day. They had a developer conference about a week ago, and one of the tools that they announced is called Assistant, because within Roblox you can generate your own content. That's one of the things that's made it so popular, is that it's a bit of a playground, a technical playground, because you can build characters and spaces and objects. And not everyone is super technical, and especially kids might not have all the technical skills to be able to code. So what they've done is they've created a chatbot, LLM-based chatbot, where you can describe what you want to build, and it will automatically build it for you. They're also rolling out things like dating for those of you over 17, and video calls, and a whole bunch of utility functions are being added onto this platform. So it's really quite interesting to see how this is creating a space for Gen Z and Gen Alpha to interact with the world. Another super popular platform is Fortnite. They are averaging about 30 million users every day. Like Roblox, it has tools for users to create user-generated content. In this case, you have what are called islands, and you have the ability to create any sort of content that you want there. This was launched in March, so since then we've had a huge amount of UGC that's been built, also a lot of brands, institutions, they're building their own social spaces. So, world building is really the new brand building, especially when you look at the size of the audiences that these platforms have. I think it's also interesting to note that closely related to this is that Fortnite also has a program called the Creator Economy, where basically they pay you and they do revenue shares for either stuff that you've created and sold on their marketplace, but they also compensate you for the popularity of your content. So if you are bringing new users to the platform, if lots of people are coming to your island and engaging with your content, they actually pay you for that. So as of now, this rolled out in March of this year. So there are currently 350 creators which are on track to make over $100,000 this year on this platform. And there's 5 creators which are on track to make more than $10 million on this platform this year. So my predictions for social stuff. I think that users are going to have multiple online identities and personas, and I think that very soon many of those personas are going to be personal AI agents acting on your behalf. If you want to go to a Zoom meeting but you don't really want to go, you send your AI avatar, it can respond like you, it can make a summary of the meeting, it can come back and tell you what actually happened when you wake up from your nap. I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha are proving that people are willing to spend on digital stuff if they find it interesting, and really they're open to embracing digital worlds. And I think I resist using the term metaverse, but a lot of online shared social platforms need to be embraced by museums and brands because that's where the kids are. And I think the lines between social networks and games will continue to blur. I think platforms like Roblox, Fortnite, and Minecraft are going to be leading the pack in the near future. So that's my talk. All in, I think it's an incredibly exciting time. There's a huge convergence of technologies, and we're really looking forward to exploring this new world with you. And thanks again for your time. I also want to say thank you to the Tech Bridge, because you guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions from the audience at this point, but I think you'll be available during the break if people have questions for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So come and pounce on him, all the humans and alpha gens, or gen alphas, sorry, I guess. I get these terms all confused now. So for those of you who were here yesterday, you've already met our next speaker, Daria, and I'm sorry, your last name is so difficult to pronounce. I'm going to try. Rzhavtseva? Almost. She's the head of business development and partnership at Fuelarts, a platform that represents the intersection of art and technology. And you will tell us more today about the opportunities and the challenges of investing in ArtTech.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daria Rzhavtseva, and I'm the head of business development and partnerships at Fuelarts. We are like all things in ArtTech. We have an accelerator arm, a venture arm, and analytics arm. And our mission is to make the ArtTech sector more transparent for the venture capital and more sustainable for the startups. And as a part of this mission, back in 2022, we initiated our Fuelarts startup report focusing on ArtTech investments globally. And we're really grateful to the ArtTech Foundation for having us today and for the possibility to release our newest report here today. So you will be the first to hear our key findings in first half of 2023. So let's dive into the numbers. Okay. Oops. Okay. In the first half of 2023, 132 ArtTech startups successfully secured 602 million in funding. This number accounts for 47% of the total funding received by these startups since their inception. And this is quite good because it shows us that even turbulent 2023 gave investors clear vision to continue funding entrepreneurs. Out of 132 startups, only 17 ArtTech companies had previously received funding prior to 2023. So does it mean that they're brand new on the market? Not exactly, because as we can see, ArtTech startups founded in 2023 collectively received 16 million in funding. So what does it mean? Are they brand new? Not. This is the startups who actually showed positive traction in working with their initial investment and proved their product market fit, their business models in turbulent 2022. And yeah, I know which question bothers you the most, like where is AI in our tech? So here it is. As you can see that AI technology startups using AI technologies received investments, the number is only 41%. But the majority, like 59%, are not using AI right now or just exploring this opportunity. So, 602 million. Is it a lot or not? Let's compare. As you can see, the numbers unfortunately are declining since the same period in 2022, but at the same time, we should remember that 2022 was a historical record year for the investments in our tech, with 3.4 billion investing in the startups. So quite big numbers. Here we can see funded startups across the value chain of our tech, and as you can see, research and development startups received the majority of the investment in the first half of 2023. So it's like 442 million across 65 startups. Then we see trade-focused startups. They received 84 million across 30 startups. But management, analytics, gamifying, visualization received comparatively fewer investments. Among the countries with incorporated ArtTech startups, the US leads with 49 startups, then the UK goes with 12 startups, and we can see Singapore in the third place with 8 startups. But European-based startups receive 24% of all investments in this sphere among 32 startups. And let's dive into the investors' universe. So the most active players of the market in the first half of 2023 were venture capitalists and individuals with 32% and 15% of shares respectively. The third place was taken by crypto VCs with 12%. And I will take a momentary break because this slide is like really Instagram and LinkedIn worthy gems, so you can make a quick photo if you need. Okay, let's go next. So the cumulative amount of the investors in this sphere reached 277. And as we can see, only 8% engaged in multiple investments, and 92% of all investors invested into a single ArtTech startup. But at the same time, 25% exhibited activity in both 2022 and the first half of 2023, and 75% made their first investment in ArtTech. So, what does it mean? For us, it shows that, first of all, these numbers are higher than this at the same period in 2022, and it shows us that more and more institutions are tapping the opportunity of the art tech market, which has really gave us an optimism. A really important part of our report is our global survey, which was undertaken targeting ArtTech founders, strategists, analytics, and key figures of the sector. And hereby are the most interesting results. So, in the first half of 2023, the primary source for discovering new investors, much like it was in 2022, remained word of mouth. So 50% of respondents choose this variant. Then we see recommendations from the friends with 42%. Of course, networking is still very important for the sphere. So networking at conferences was chosen by 33%. Some startups searching for their investors using external fundraising services, and 8% do it through accelerators and incubators. The most challenging aspect of the investment process in the first half of 2023 is proceeding to the investment process after pitching. That was mentioned by 55% of the respondents. Secured introduction in the sphere, which are really crucial, was mentioned by 45%. Receiving a reply after cold outreach and also have a call with investor after establishing a contact was mentioned by 37% both. And generating like only 9% choose the variant with the news, and they found it difficult to generate news and to have like active relationship with their investors. And of course, AI. So it's very interesting that majority of our respondents, of the strategists, see primary role of AI in support. So they believe that human creativity will not be replaced by the AI. 33%, so like 1/3 of the respondents see the potential to redefine artistic practices with AI. Only 7% possesses a threat marginalizing artists and undermining creativity, but no one believes that AI will have limited impact on creativity in art tech sector on the whole. And finally, 60% of our respondents see AI in analytics, that it can strengthen art tech analytics, so AI-driven data research and aggregation. Then it goes management with its AI-driven collection management system, which will be helpful for the whole ecosystem, but especially for art managers, for the collectors. Only not a majority of our respondents choose production, so meaning creation of artworks and storytelling. But the most interesting result was with trade. So none of our respondents currently choose trade as an area which can strengthen art tech, so encompassing art marketplaces, auction houses, art exchanges, and I really think that I want to address this slide to the whole audience here and also to the whole art tech market, because it's in our hand to change this situation. Finally, in the summary of this report, I want to present you 7 key takeaways, which from our point of view will shape the market in the second half of 2023, according to our research. So, NFTs are really different from the traditional art collecting, and we all know this. Like traditional art collectors are choosing to buy art with history, with some physical experience, with networking. At the same time, NFT buyers usually buy art from the artists or from some celebrities. But at the same time, we see how NFT platforms are trying to make NFTs like a real investment. So as I told yesterday, they're doing this by different means. So they're, for example, using tech. They choose to combine different spheres like fashion with art, music, and like films. Also, they host in events. They try to let people own something together, like through DAOs. the US still has a leading role in the Web3 market, but at the same time, we know that China leads in sales. And many Web3 companies are avoiding the US right now because of the regulations by SEC. And also, we see how we know about strong stance of China on technologies. So they're exploring opportunities in blockchain, in ArtTech, and AI also. They're really good in decentralized finance. But at the same time, we know that, for example, Chinese funds based in Puerto Rico are actively investing in ArtTech startups which are based in Europe. So it's a good sign for the European-based startups. And also, I need to mention Paris because it's doing very good after the Brexit. So now Paris is a big hub for big brands, accelerators, and startups. All in all, I can say that startups are doing good despite the fact that market is not very, easy place now to be. So investors are really interested in AI. It's also a good sign. And for those startups who are combining art and machine learning, it's a great time. But for the rest ones, it's time of surviving, I think, by adapting. But at the very end, we can say that when the market will be okay, investors will choose those who proved their strategies, who proved their business models. We strongly believe in grants because grants are crucial for the market and they support startups a lot. And we know that many grants are focusing not on making money, but on education, communities, and creating new products, but smart founders can combine their goals, like grants goals, with their products. So also we know that cryptocurrency industry are also give lots of grants, and it's a good opportunity for the startups to use it. Also, we believe that the future of the ArtTech market and the market on the whole is in acceleration, partnerships, and competitions. We see how even big startups are choosing to go to the accelerators because not for making money, but for meetings with mentors, with the potential investors. Also, we see how big brands are creating their own acceleration programs because it's cheaper for them to create such kind of programs than searching startups by themselves. And also, big brands are choosing to work with innovative startups right now, and it's a good opportunity to have this collaboration. And it's, of course, a good time to build your PR strategy as a trendsetters, and it will definitely keep your early investors happy. 1 year ago, we predicted such kind of blockchain wars with a battleground, with art as a battleground. So there were no major wars between layer 1 blockchains because mostly people are choosing multi-chain solutions. But at the same time, art is still very important in the sphere. And yeah, we know that many blockchains are creating their own art ecosystem, which is really great. And the big question right now is who will replace Tezos at the Art Basel after they ended their partnership. And of course, AI. We see how startups are implementing AI into their business models, but only if it fits. And it's very good. They're not trying to rush into AI. And as we can see during our survey, we found out that 50% of our respondents are not using AI in their products, but the majority, like 75%, are using AI in their daily life, which is a quite good balance. And of course, we see that investors are really interested in AI, but still are very careful, much like it was with NFTs when they became popular 3 years ago. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention. And here you can see the QR code, so you can download the full report, because I presented only 20 slides from 60. Also, you can download it on our website, fuelarts.com, and we will be happy to answer all of your questions during our public presentation online this Monday with our founder, Denis Bilkevich. And of course, thank you once again for the ArtTech Foundation, and have a successful traction, everyone.
Why don't you just stay there, because there might be some questions. Does anybody have any questions for Daria? Okay, well, I have one. You were talking, you gave us an overview of the landscape of what the market is like right now, but what about the future? Are you optimistic about investing in ArtTech companies? You think that it's going, because it's been dipping a little bit, we saw, but is it going to pick up again, you feel?
Yeah, of course. We really believe that our tech sector have a great potential to grow. So we see how many startups are creating each year. We see how many investors are entering the sphere. It's a good sign. And people are discovering this opportunity more and more. And also we see how, this art tech becoming a part of big creative industries and technology sphere, which is really good because we see this combination of different spheres in one startup or like in the market. So yeah, I definitely believe, and my team believe that it will be a great success. If you want to enter our tech market or just exploring this opportunity, it's a great time to start.
Okay, that's a good advice for investors. Thank you very much. Thank you, Daria.